Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
All right, so another conversation in between another quarantine. We are back with a series of conversations in quarantine videos. For today's video, I have someone who has truly carved out his way through every possible media vertical out there. From radio to print to television, he has seen it all when it comes to the big bad world of media and marketing. I welcome Hrishekesh Gangoli in today's conversation, who has worked with marquee names like Radio City, Star India, Discovery, and now handles marketing solutions for ESPN. Welcome, Hrishekesh, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Paul. That was quite a generous introduction.
You started off with a BCom and then you decided to opt for marketing from B school after 2 years of work experience. Was it a natural shift or there were external factors associated with it?
BCom in itself wasn't really a natural selection of careers, but then when I look back, I realized that it has actually given me an opportunity to kind of explore multiple facets of media. And media is a juggernaut. It's a huge ecosystem in itself. As with any other BCom grad in India, we were looking at a stopgap between my career and then doing an MBA. And I started off with multiple roles like working at a call center. In fact, my first job was with JP Morgan for about a year and a half. Post which I was also pursuing my MCom, and that is when I kind of I gave my CAT, CET, all the other exams that typically students give, nervously kind of looking at colleges and all. And then I got a call from NL Dalmia, and 2008 to 10 was when I did my MBA.
Right. Fascinating time to be a part of a B school, isn't it, Hrishikesh? 2008 and 10, the kind of similar recession that we saw last year due to the pandemic.
Oh yes, in fact, it was probably the first time that young India was exposed to something of this proportion, and something that started off in the US kind of quickly spiraled out, and unfortunately ended up affecting a lot of young grads who were looking at opening up on their careers. And it was just you're right, it was just a year before we started off with our MBA journey that this kind of hit the subprime crisis. So yeah, I'd say tricky time to kind of invest in one's career, but then these were extraneous factors, and luckily we kind of wriggled out of it.
Right. Were you guys worried when you were at NL Dalmia pursuing your MBA? Was this like a corridor conversation between you friends that अरे placement का क्या होगा कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा?
See, we were seeing the effects of the recession on our seniors, because like I said, this was one batch before 2008 is when it kind of hit, and the batch that kind of graduated in 2009 was unfortunately the first batch across India to be affected by the severe crunch of careers and all. So we were seeing that there were multiple active conversations going on between the seniors batch, between professors, and so on and so forth. Yes, and it hits you because you have to realize that you put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's kind of multiple people who've in fact taken a backseat. They've resigned from their jobs and gotten into a B school. Some others are freshers who've not even experienced what corporate life is all about. So yes, we were extremely nervous back then.
At this point in time, when you were at your B school, what were the few things that you took part in which helped you, when you look back in hindsight, when you see that, these are the things that I have done, maybe that is helping me even today when I'm going through my day-to-day life at different companies?
If you were to go back to the batch of faculty that we had that kind of taught us and would have interacted with us, they would come back to you and tell you that we were a notorious bunch of backbenchers even at MBA. Okay, so that is a trait that I believe one carried forward from school itself. Okay, but the good thing about being a backbencher is that you tend to expose a lot to extracurricular activities, and ours was a group of friends, batchmates, who were always at the forefront of organizing seminars, organizing orientation programs for the junior batches. And there were interesting incidents like, I don't know if you kind of also remember, but when we were doing our MBA between 8-10 is when the swine flu had hit us. There was the first day of our orientation program. It was a week-long program, and I was kind of the CEO for that event. And we spent nights at the college trying to prepare the college for this entire initiative. Just one day before, one evening before, is when the government announces that there's a section 144. So many people were very, industry guys were kind of saying that, listen, I don't know if I can travel, because wahan pe, and it's a very delicate time. And it was interesting because I'll tell you something funny. We had also created like a 8 feet tall mascot, okay, to be placed right at the college's entrance. Somebody has a brilliant idea of putting up a face mask on the mascot overnight. Okay, so overnight we saw that we had to take multiple calls, and there was this committee sitting at 3 a.m. at night, okay, on the first floor of the college, right opposite the director's cabin, trying to figure out kal subah kya karne ka, because we suddenly see this dramatic shift in in protocol. But yeah, we managed to pull it off, yeah, and it was an immensely enriching experience, So, and
Right.
if I were to look back in today's times, probably that is also something that prepared us for times to come.
From here, you shifted to your marketing and branding roles. You became part of Radio City. How was the radio side of things when you started off with your career?
Radio was a very, very, very alive industry, if I could call it that. So the good thing was that, see, FM radio was opening up in India, right? So was in fact, for us, we also had internet radio, which was practically something that had just started back then, okay? Because no bandwidth, you didn't have the geos of the world then, right? So yes, that was struggling, but then FM was like coming back to that point, FM was incredibly alive. You'd have multiple people from the film fraternity coming in every day for interviews. You have so many on-ground events that were being that were taking place. There are things called studio shifts. There are things where you do a lot of tie-ups with corporates. Radio, I'd say, was probably the first complete experience that young management grad could really get of the real world, कि कोटलर से बाहर निकल के when you get the धक्के खाते हो, in the actual corporate world.
Now, Hrishikesh, Dhakke Khana reminds me of your, the next role that you took up, your sales role with DB Corp. Again, this was a shift from radio to another media vertical, which is print. Tell us a bit about this shift.
So when this opportunity came by, this was a setup which was not as much known in urban circles or urban markets in India as it was, as powerful it was in the rural markets, So Dainik Bhaskar was probably the with Dainik, along with Dainik Jagran, were two of the most powerful regional publications in India, right? And we all knew tough times of India, but when we entered that space, we realized how different it was, to operate in a tier 2, tier 3 dominant brand. Again, my role there was more of a pre-sales role, and it was so it was not direct selling per se, but it was to kind of aid the sales team with all the arsenal that they need.
So Hrishikesh, completing the arc from here, you then move to Star India, which is again the third pillar, which is the broadcast, where you again took up sales and you worked with product teams of Star Gold, Movies OK, Star Utsav Movies. All these channels which were booming at that point in time, people were still watching, films on television, and OTT was nowhere to be seen. Tell us more about, some stories around this time.
Yes, as a part of the movies, Hindi movies cluster at Star, and we had an incredible case study via Bajrangi Bhaijaan. So Bajrangi Bhaijaan was kind of it shattered all records for Star Gold. And we were extremely excited, and I remember that there were also multiple new channels that were opening up, that were being launched
Right.
when we were a part of the setup. May seem to be a passive medium, as when you compare it to a digital medium. But
Right.
when you work when you work with a TV setup, you realize that it's an extremely dynamic medium, right? There are multiple facets to it, multiple variables that are active at the same time. If you were to understand a movies setup within, say, any of the channels in India, the product isn't yours, right? The first thing is that the product is recorded, produced, post-produced, and given to you by a production house. Okay, there are tie-ups that happen between the channels and production houses, and then you get certain rights that you are able to use.
Right.
Then this becomes your product that you go out in the market and try to sell. And hence this, why I'm telling you this is, it comes with multiple limitations, right? You cannot make any edits or changes to the existing product.
Correct.
So how do you add embellishments? How do you, figure out ways to do some incremental changes, thereby opening up revenue opportunities for your company? Basically that is what the sales team is always looking to, guys in brand solutions and pre-sales and all of this whole fraternity about. Okay, so I was a part of this team that is called product and revenue solutions, product and revenue strategy, sorry. And this was a new initiative also in the world of media, and it kind of became a benchmark for all other media companies later on. But yes, many case studies that we experienced in movies, outside of movies, and that kind of helped me in my learning as well.
Tell us a bit about one such setback, Rishikesh, that you remember, which rattled you very much, which crushed your confidence, thinking that this is it, we cannot go past this.
Right at the start of my career, if you were to ask me, I'd say that the startup failing to kick off was an immense setback, because here I am as a young mid-20s guy who kind of put his career on the line, and I rejected my initial placement to continue with this particular company. And then within a couple of months, I realized that I'm in a fix, right? I mean, there's no other way to put that. You see one going without salaries for multiple months, and that is I mean, you're imagining, like you said, there are people who are suffering as a part of the subprime crisis. So I was also in one of those similar situations where uh, I didn't realize what to do, because I didn't have a lot of experience behind me. And when you start with a failure, it kind of that becomes a stamp on you. Like, you just have to tide over. I mean, that is one life altering experience. You are, I mean, to the point that you get depressed, right? You don't know, because you're going to office every day not knowing whether that company would exist, a month down the line or a week down the line. The earlier you experience these real world setbacks, the better it is for you to grow as a person and mature as as a corporate professional, let's say.
So Rishikesh, from a failed startup to now joining this sports channel giant ESPN as Associate Director of Marketing Solutions, uh, take us through to your day-to-day work. What exactly Rishikesh does in this kind of a setup?
For me, as a media professional, it can't get bigger than Walt Disney, right? I mean, it is incredible. I mean, it's a magical world that you've grown up with right since you're a kid. Okay, so it is present in every possible media space, right? You've got Disney as the parent brand itself. You've got Marvel. You've got Lucas. You've got ESPN in sports. You've got now you've got, as part of the family, you've got Star. You've got Hotstar. You've got every possible extension that one can think of, from movie production to to live sports coverage and everything across the world. So I mean, to just be a part of such an incredible setup is, sometimes it puts that added sense of responsibility onto you.
Right. Which is the biggest in terms of scale, an event, so to say, you have handled as a marketing director right now at ESPN. And what were the kind of learnings that you have gotten from there, if you have to put it?
So yeah, see, I am a part of the marketing solution setup, which is like a bridge between production and sales or marketing for that matter. Yeah, over the past 2.5 years, I think doesn't get bigger than things like the T20 World Cup and the Premier League. The T20 Premier League that happens in India. These are, I mean, what else do you want to experience as a cricket fan, right? So all of these are of incredible scale. Yeah, I mean, these kind of 2 or 3 properties in a year keep all of us busy.
You have had this long journey where you started from a very humble beginning, as you mentioned, and then you moved on to different aspects of the broadcast media, and now you're also experiencing something which is the fad today, which is the OTT, with
Right.
the company that you're working in right now. From this long journey of a BCom graduate to ESPN Marketing Solutions, what has changed in Rishikesh?
Simply the learning of the space that you're in, because I believe that, see, it's taken me so many years and to only understand media as an industry. Okay, and I still feel that I've not understood, say about 50% or 40% of what it is. As a young management grad, you need to understand that the world out there is incredibly different. I mean, much different from what you experience when you're a student in a management college. But what gives you, I mean, what a management college really teaches you is that it gives you a glimpse of what to expect, how to, like, what my college taught me is, to how to keep yourself ready for every dynamic change that will keep coming. And that is what has made me prepared to expect and to kind of embrace all the changes that keep happening. Who knows, tomorrow I may be in another industry, yeah, altogether, if I realize that I want an experience of something else. But I will still continue with that one yearning for learning.
All right, Rishikesh, it was a fascinating journey to experience. What I can see, Rishikesh, from here is, you are not going to bow down to changes. You are definitely going to embrace them, however they are coming in. And we are living in the times where change is the only constant. Thank you again, Rishikesh.
Thank you, Paul. The pleasure is mine.